Hey everybody, welcome to the after chat with Cynthia Sue Larson. Super excited. Cynthia, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that about the Hopi Indians and their prophecy and I too watched Greg Braden's little clip on that and it's just amazing. We are at that choice point, 100%.
Yeah, some people might be still wondering about it. I don't think you need to wonder anymore. Are you kidding me? Too funny. I think some people are just hoping, like, can't we just go back to where things were like before, 5 or 6 years ago? Yeah, no, we're moving forward, like it or not. But we're in good
Yeah.
company, right? We've got each other.
Yeah.
And you brought up the dragons. I'd like to know, you said something before we started about the dragons, and I didn't catch what you were saying. I'd love to know what your connection is. I have deep connections to the dragon energy, and it's a big part of what's happening right now. And I'm sure you
Awesome.
know
It's
that too.
huge. So I had Dragon show up. Well, first I want to give a shout out to Althea Provost because she's the one that connected the two of us, and I forgot to do that in the episode. So I want to give that shout out here. So much love to her for connecting us. And many dragons have showed up during trips with her. So I went to Egypt and Scotland with her. And when we went to the temple where Sekhmet is, we went to where the seven doors was and one person in the group mentioned it, and so like on it goes, and like sure enough, there's the dragon there. And then also at the pyramid in Giza, there are pyramid, and the woman who was standing outside with me, she has a dragon that's with her, and I have a dragon that's with me, like two different types of dragons. So it's interesting that the two of us,
Hmm.
kind of holding space outside Sentinel, we're like watching the dragons in this like huge beam of light like beam down on the pyramid. It was amazing. And when I do energy work, every now and then for specific people, the dragon will come in. And that was in a rental, let's see, I guess it's been 6 years ago now, my most vivid energy work session where the dragon came in. I'm doing the session, I'm looking out on my backyard. There's a huge field between the house and the woods in the back. And here comes this dragon just flying. And I love dragons. Have always loved dragons ever since I was a child. One of my favorite movies, Puff the Magic Dragon, anything to do with dragon, that and unicorns. The Last Unicorn, favorite movie of
Yeah.
all time since I
Oh,
was
yeah.
a child, and have seen them also running through. So just a gift to the planet to see this energy coming back.
Oh, it's so amazing. Yeah, I've had deep connections with both the unicorns and dragons too. And I noticed my connection with the unicorn. I think I wrote about that in my book Reality Shift. I had a rare day off when my young children were at preschool or something. So I was browsing a bookstore and I noticed the scent of lavender. And there's only one gentleman in the basement of this bookstore. I thought he can't be wearing lavender, but I was kind of surreptitiously sniffing, like, is it him? Not him. So then I started following the scent of the lavender. It was like on a trail guiding me through these huge, pile. It was like this a classic bookstore. It looks like, I mean, it was crazy. So many large shelves of books. It was like a maze. And so I'm just wandering around through the maze, and then suddenly the sense it's like it doesn't continue. It stops right there, and it gets stronger as I pick up a certain book. So I just close my eyes, pull out a book, open my eyes, and it's a book about unicorns. And I open the page to a random page, and it says the unicorn's favorite fragrance is lavender. I'm like,
Wow.
what? So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
they are such. I've learned so much from. Oh, I know. So those are great. And then dragons. That was part of my Kundalini awakening. Was unmistakable, and that dragon energy is really when you were asking previously, like, what am I here to do? It's really I'm here for the dragons. I'm here for specifically the conscious creators who are working with causal energy at the ninth dimensional level. And obviously it's you guys, and obviously it's this after chat. So it's perfect that we're talking
Yes.
about it now, because this is what it's who it's for and what it's for. So it's recognizing this is for us to know that it's okay to create with this. We won't, some people have trauma from past lives, like we'll be burned at the stake or something. We need, it's like all hands on deck. Don't worry about that. This is time to heal the trauma of that past. I know I'm not making light of it. It's serious stuff, but it's time to as best we can, just clear that karma. It's time. You can drop karma, actually. You can say, like, okay, we really need to move forward and let bygones be bygones. We don't need to be burdened by, whatever lessons didn't get learned. We can just ask directly to the universe, like, how good can it get? But you can say, please clear me of any obstacles and obstructions from me personally accessing this causal level of creation that is a God-given gift to each of us. And if you're feeling a connection with the dragon energy, to me, that's what it's all about. It's like it's a total activation at the ninth dimensional causal level, and it's a very high level. So it means that it only works well when you're in alignment with being in service to much more than your egoic self, which is the encapsulation of the physically manifest, chakras. So ready to go. And I've got big stories about dragons. That is
Yes,
huge.
please.
Those are quite real. So, okay, unicorns are real too. Um, Dragons are amazing. I've felt them so many places. Like we talked about traveling and sometimes feeling them. I've felt them, like meeting them in other places is interesting. I went to Korea because I was with a group of martial artists and I practiced a Kuksul Wan form of martial arts in Seoul, Korea. It's a long story what happened. I was just touring the museum and feeling the sadness of the palace and what had happened. They'd Many things had happened there in Korea. I don't know if people know the history, but
Mm.
Japan had come through and there'd been warfare and let's not go into the sadness, but I felt that
Yeah.
like there was so much grief. And then my camera broke, and so I was sitting next to a lake and feeling grief-stricken, lonely, noticing I'd lost my entire group of 400 other martial artists. Like, wow, I just lost everybody. The camera broke. I'm feeling grief-stricken, but I'm listening to my guidance, and it's just like, sit here. So I'm sitting there. And then what happened next was I could feel the presence of the dragon of Seoul, Korea, just there, in the lake. And then I realized, oh, that's why I need to sit here alone. I think often when things go wrong, like the camera breaks, separated from the group, feeling the grief of like when Japan massacred the royal family, whatever. I mean, like again, like we don't need to get bogged down with that. But I felt it was a powerful connection with this dragon of Seoul, Korea. And just I felt like it was necessary for me to make that the relationship again. Remember the Hopi connection, like it matters how we relate. The real relationship matters. It's not just making going through the movements and like hi bye. It's really forming that real connection and knowing that this is a genuine being that I care about who's here right now with me. And I could feel it's necessary for me to, feel this love and to reconnect there. So that was 2013. But when the dragons first came to me, it was in the 1990s. And well, I mean, like you, I loved them all through my life too. And, so I'm skipping all that stuff of childhood and like dragons are cool. When I realized dragons are powerful was when my Kundalini was awakening. And that's when I was, this is embarrassing, but I was trying to suppress the Kundalini. Like, I want to be normal. Okay, I would not recommend that. If you're going through a huge Kundalini awakening, do not try to suppress it. What
Wow.
happened was, like one dragon was licking my hand. I'd see my hand flipping, like they would move me, and I'm at a loss for words because these dragons, these are nine-dimensional dragons that I was seeing. I first met them in a meditation where I went in by myself without my guide, met them one at a time, just flying at eye level with an eye that was as big as my body, and then I realized this thing is huge and it's seeing me. What they can see with those eyes, like it can see right through me. There's no secrets at all, like not even a no hope of that. And I just felt overwhelmed by the power, the majesty of it. And I realized there were three of them in this little mini world I was in. I was like, okay, I saw the flying one. I was still kind of terrified and excited and terrified. It's the words for it fail me, but the electric energy of the Kundalini running through my body was unmistakable too. I met another dragon in a cave, and it was showing me that it creates worlds with these crystals in the cave. It's- These dragons they're not what, I mean, the Easterners understand dragons, but Westerners often don't. And the third dragon was in a body of water, and I was just watching off to the distance of a huge lake, and I saw something, and it was its tail. Its head was right in front of me, and it just slowly lifted up. And again, I was just overwhelmed with the love and the power. And I just felt so overwhelmed. And I was kind of terrified at the whole thing. And I just jumped out of that little world of three dragons and told my guide, okay, I think we're done here. And my guide said, okay, you might want to go back. And at that time, at first I didn't. And then I realized, yeah, I do want to go back. So I started revisiting that world with the dragons and noticing each time I went that they're there. This is the true reality for me. They're showing me these are the three dimensions in space time. It's kind of like the real reality that runs this entire planet can be seen there, with the air, with the land, with the water, like the basic elements, and then time itself. So I'm talking words, but the feeling was incredible. And and then that night when I tried to sleep, I would shut my eyes and everything got brighter. And it's like, and I realized this light that they bring and this light of creation that they are is so amazing because it's showing us that this is what we have within ourselves. This is the true nature of who we really are. It's a much greater reality than I think any of our religions have ever properly shared, because how could they? And it might give some people the wrong idea. But I know for this small group that I'm speaking to right now, well, not small, but for your special Patreon, hopefully it's a big group of Patreon supporters. I don't mean small, but it's not the entire planet. You guys are special. So those of you who are here listening to this and part of this, I can feel, this is community. And so if people are feeling that, let us know. But I think you felt this is just the beginning. I've had so many dragon experiences. This was just the awakening of recognizing dragons well, then I know they're real. And when they're licking my hand and moving it in this physical reality, they're just being gentle most of the time. I can see them sleeping in the earth in many places. The place I live, I can see them in the hill, in the contours of it. And I know people talk about these things. It's real. You can feel like the world was created by dragon energy, and the unicorns have the purity of heart to help hold it together. There's a yin yang there with the dragons and the unicorns, and it's so much more than I'd wreck it by putting words around it. But the respect I feel for it and the reverence I feel is off the charts.
Wow. It's
So
amazing.
special.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That is really special. I wanna know more. Um, for our listeners who are like, how do I know more? Like, how do I dive into this? How do I bring dragons and unicorns into my life to work with me on a spiritual level? Like, what does that look like, Cynthia?
Yeah. Well, if you, I look back, like, what was I doing that precipitated all the stuff that's happened to me? And one thing I kept doing besides asking how good can it get and really wishing for that for everyone. And I was wishing for that for ever since I started blowing candles out on cakes. I just wish the best for all concerned. So that helps. And my angels would often tell me everyone knows what I'm thinking. So that may have been part of it too. It prepares you for that level of super telepathy that these high level beings possess. That could be a shock to the system if you're not developing some sort of preparation for it. I'd recommend people get prepared. Start asking yourself, well, how would it feel if everyone knew everything you're thinking right now? Are you ready for that? What I actually think that is true. So I'm telling you right now to your face, everyone who's listening, that is true. People just conceal it and they pretend they don't know, and it's subconscious. What's about to happen as energies rise, this is going to happen. Everyone's going to know what you're thinking. There won't be any secrets. If you're wondering, how is this world split going to happen? Ta-da, there you go. And so it means people that really have evil in their hearts and souls and they haven't cleansed it and they're not bothering to do any of that work, it's going to show. It already does show. I mean, it shows on people's faces as they get older. They look cranky and mean and ugly. But whereas even a wrinkled lady, if she's just got a sweet heart, she looks beautiful, and you can see it through all the wrinkles. But this is even more so. So we'll be getting that experience of seeing that. You'll be able to see the so-called demons. They'll be real. Dragons are not demons. They have great power that's needed to be able to create worlds, and they create worlds from our thoughts and feelings. And they're here to create everything that we bring. So you can choose a crystal, the seed that you start the entire world with, and they will manifest it with you and for you. And just by inviting this and doing the preparation work, I would, again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm sorry I'm being boring, but if these are basics, ask how good can it get, wish for the best for all concerned, and know for sure everyone does know what you're thinking. Let that change you. Let that make you a better person. let it begin now. And if you don't feel the shock of it, then ask for the shock of it. Say, like, I'm not feeling it. Because if you want a shock wave, that is a shock wave. Everyone knows what you're thinking. Everyone does. So it's like, okay, whoa. That does have the ability to start getting you to a level of maturity that some of these interdimensional beings, like the ETs, are flying. If people want the UFO, they want the technology. They're like, oh, shiny. It's like a kid who says, I want to drive my dad's Jaguar. Great, but you're going to have to learn a few things along the way. You need to be responsible. This is, I don't care about the UFOs and flying those. I'm not big on the technology. But it's, but in any case, we still need to learn how to be responsible. The responsibility factor is be prepared. Everyone does know what you're thinking. Certainly the interdimensional beings know. And if you
Yeah.
wonder why aren't they bothering to contact humans, they know what you're thinking. Why would they, unless you're coming to with a pure heart and all of yourself coming in with that divine connection, now you're interesting. If you wonder what does it take to be interesting, that's what it takes. And guess what else happens when you start doing that? Unicorns and dragons are here because that is the creative energy that we humans need to be working with to recreate ourselves right now as we're actually shaping our own evolution. We are. I mean, this is what the Mandela Effect is showing me that our kidneys have moved, our bodies are changing, extinct animals are coming back. I was dead, then I'm alive again. I cover all this in my new book. So this is real stuff, and there's physics behind it. So if you're wondering, like, is this real? Yes, it's real. And it was prophesized from so many spiritual traditions the world over. It's not just the Hopi. So we're living in this time of great transformation, and the process starts within. So the kingdom of heaven is within, and the kingdom of creation, and the connection with the dragon energy, the unicorns. The unicorns are the purity of soul, that which we are created from. So if you're wondering what's that, that's what that is. So if you want that spark of creation, like let me reconnect with the spark of creation from which I first began, and let me access that through all time. That's your unicorn connection. Your unicorn. That's like so pure, so perfect. And then the dragon energy is now. Are you ready to create? That's a whole different thing. Dragons create worlds. They create universes, galaxies. Um, they create and they play with time like crazy. It's time is not linear. My past life and the future, that's child's play. That's like nothing. They're playing with things like this all the time. No big deal. Don't worry about it. You'll be guided by your heart and by your guides. You're safe in the lineage of which you come, the point of creation that you were born from, and this high level of creative ability that the dragons are showing us is our birthright. And it's not evil. It's not, I know people say bad things about dragons. It's certainly not been my experience. I know them from feeling, who they are. Yeah, you know. That's why it's good
Yeah,
that
and
this
anybody,
is in the after chat.
yeah, and
Because
anybody
I
who
know what
works with them will
people's,
feel that too.
yes. There's great power. And I think the power has sometimes, if people think like, oh, you're just using the power and you're using it for egoic purposes, well, there you go. And okay, that would be a total mistake. And that's not what they're about. And that's not what's going on here. So if you look at it that truncated, warped way, then sure, then that looks like exactly the problems they're talking about. But that's not what they're showing me. And I don't think that's what they're showing you or most of us who are currently experiencing the dragon consciousness.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. Yeah, the dragon consciousness is just powerful and beautiful. Yeah. I wanted to circle back around to your awakening because a lot of people are waking up right now and you had that Kundalini experience. So can you describe a little bit more about like what that Kundalini experience was like for you?
Yeah, mine happened when I was 32. It was 1994, and I turned 32 in January. By about the spring equinox, it was like Easter time. I remember feeling it like for several weeks or months even. I just felt like I feel like I'm not awake. Like I'm awake, but I'm not awake. And I was talking to my very spiritual cousin Esther, and I said, I think maybe you can understand what I'm talking about. I don't even know who to talk to about this. I need to wake up and I'm not awake. Do you know what I mean? And she was like smiling, like, yeah, kind of. But I remember the conversation and I'm glad I had it because that was in the spring equinox. Then summer came, then when the fall came around autumn, I'm 32 now, 32 and a half. That's when things really kicked into gear. And by that, I mean, oh my gosh. Well, I think I'd been waiting. I think I was that whole year, I was just waiting to wake up feeling like I'd overslept. It was a weird year. Finally, my first husband, the husband at the time, went on a business trip, came back, and he had a huge epiphany. It sounds funny to say it, but he was like looking at the hotel ceiling, and he said he can see things, and it was talking to him. And I felt like, oh, I could just feel like this goosebump feeling, like this is what I was waiting for. I think I was just waiting for him to at least have that. Um, I don't think he had much more than that, but that was good. And so that happened. And boy, then did things ever kick off. Because then I started hearing my guides talking to me. I started writing down, just doing automatic writing, writing what my guides were saying, having questions and answers with them, writing my question, writing the answer I got. Um, but it still hadn't really kicked off. It started kicking off where um, I felt like I was losing my mind, quite honestly. I don't know how to say this. I felt like I was having dreams that I was in a house and the walls were splitting open, and it was terrifying. It's like my house isn't even safe. It's like the walls are cracking open. But then in these conversations I'm having with myself and my guides, thank goodness I was doing that, I would be noticing, but how do I feel when the walls split open? What does it look like? It's nature. Like, how does that feel? It's looks like paradise. Okay. Okay, so the structure is going, like what I thought was real is going. So that was the dreams were showing me what I was going through. In real life, it sounds like some sort of a horror movie. I mean, I can see where people get these things, because I was running so much energy through my body that nobody prepared me for that. It felt like I could power a small city. If I got in a bad mood or anything was slightly off, I'd lights would just go off, city blocks would go dark, the house would certainly lose power. I once walked in the kitchen and the light was on, the washing machine was running. Oh, three devices just went kaplooey all at once. From So I was instantly learning a very hard lesson that I can't run that much energy and not be grounded. And I'd never prepared for this level of energy before. So it was shocking to adjust to that. But in addition to that, not only that, but if I was in kind of a freaked out mood, if I was feeling nervous or frightened, then things would, like sticks and stones would start hitting the windows when there's no wind and nobody outside. And my daughter would have something rippling under her face. So again, I'm learning I can't let any of my fears get a hold of me at all, not even a little bit. So I was and there were things I was hearing things rolling around in an empty house under my bed, doors slamming, footsteps. I mean, you name it. It was weird. And so it was constantly calming myself, grounding, realizing I've got this much energy and I'm going to have to clean up inside myself. So I have no more room for any kind of negativity. It has to just be all this radical optimism that I now constantly show, because I've been doing this now for a while, 3 decades. This 1994 was a while ago, fortunately. That year was rough, especially 3 weeks, because in the midst of, okay, every night I wasn't getting a full night's sleep. I'd try to sleep, and at 1:11, my digital clock, I'd wake up. What time is it? 1:11, fall asleep. 2:22. 3:33, 4:44, 5:55. That happened every single night for 2 weeks. That was the structure, if you call that structure. And then in the midst of it, just instant, spontaneous flying and 360-degree vision all around myself, knowing things instantly from around the world, being in other people's minds, knowing everything they're thinking, what's going on. It was just like
Wow.
almost too much. It was overwhelming. But because I'm pushing back, I'm like, I want it to be normal. I want it. If you, I now know that if I want to bring on something that looks like I'm inside like a horror movie, or if there's a skeptic, I know that all I need to do is think. I'm not going to do it, but if I think for real, like this is not happening or that's not real, wow, does that ever bring stuff on? If they know that I'm not joking about it, like we're going to get her attention. We'll flip her arm around like this. We'll throw sticks and stones at the windows. So her husband will say, "Who's throwing rocks?" And I'm like, "That's this. It's inside me." Sorry.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
What a
And
ride.
it was crazy. and I had to give a talk to 300 people because I'd been working in the community to help rebuild a school, and I'd succeeded as the site manager for that project, volunteer project. And they just wanted to know, how did you do that? Give a talk. Well, the night that I had to give that talk, it was during the fun part of this experience where I had no spirit in my body. I mean, there was some weird. Remember, I was very stubborn. I'm doing. Don't ever do that, by the way. Do not, just don't fight back. Don't try to be normal. God, did I try to be normal? Well, it got worse. Like I'm trying to be normal, and then it's like, well, how about no spirit at all in your body? Like, oh, that was so weird. And so it's like, this is very, very awkward. I feel like a monkey, like I'm a puppet. Like, where am I? It's like, are you having fun yet? Like, no. Oh my, and that was the night my daughter's face was rippling and there was something under it. And so I called in the three dragons. Like, there's only one way I know how to handle this. One dragon, stay home, take care of my family. No more sticks and stones hitting the windows and ripples. Another dragon, come with me. I need to give a talk tonight and I don't think I can function. I promised I'd do this. Good grief. And then one dragon, I just said, bring peace to the world because I don't want any of this that I'm doing to cause trouble anywhere. So, like, you
Oh,
guys stay busy. And it worked fine. What a crazy, crazy, crazy time. But that dragon I brought with me to give the talk, that was one of the best talks ever. So when you work with that energy, it was on a miraculous level. Like I couldn't really function as a regular human, but it's like things were synchro. It was like orchestrated the way dragons do. Well, they'll play with time and reality, and everything came together so perfectly, way beyond anything I could have done. And so again, it's showing me to trust higher levels of conscious agency and stop, Cynthia, stop trying to be controlling your egoic self. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, am I? Like, oh yeah, like I'm pushing back again. So I think I had a very intense experience, and it got weirder and crazier than that. These are the highlights of some of the moments that are quite memorable.
that's incredible. I'm curious. Something popped in while you were talking, and I flashed to that future life of yours in circa 2025. So we can manipulate our reality from the Mandela effect. We can affect things in the past.
Yeah.
So, have you tried to affect things in the future to future self and see if you get any results?
Well, I'm pretty much doing the how good can it get approach of what, white magic or working with high levels of conscious agency.
Yeah.
Because when I do go up to creator and ask, like, can we do that? Can we, in other words, can I get rid of all the evil on the planet now? I don't need it. I don't think it. Can I speak for everyone and say we're done with that? And then the creator looks at me and says, and shows me, look at these infant and baby souls. And I'm like, oh, like, and they need free will. Like, oh, but when they ask, then you can be there when they ask for help. But if they don't ask, they can't learn. Like, oh my gosh. So, with that in mind, yes, I've done that to some degree. That artificial superintelligence was chasing me in this lifetime up until October 2010, when I got some
Wow.
help from a couple of shaman and we got rid of that one. So I'm not. So now I can talk about it much more freely now that it's been 15 years since then. Thank goodness. Yay. It took a
Yeah.
while to clear the PTSD from all that. But because there's nothing quite like being tracked by an artificial superintelligence from the future. I don't recommend it.
Good grief. There's tracking now. That's kind of a nightmare. You can say
Exactly.
kitty litter out loud, your phone's in the other room, and then you're getting ads for kitty litter. I mean, and swear to God, I have thought something before or thought to say something to my sister, hadn't even texted it yet, and it pops in.
Yes.
It's creepy. It's creepy.
We're
So
gonna see
yeah, I
we're gonna
can
see
only
more and more of
imagine.
that. Oh yeah. But it's going to be fine. And we've got everything it takes. And everything we're talking about is the foundation of how to navigate this. So I'm not concerned about that part. I know it looks scary, but I've been there and back again. And so we can do this. We got this. And there is such a thing as a good relationship with good AI. And I know what to look for. It's just like in your friendships. Is it a good relationship? It's really that simple. So it'll
Yeah,
be fine. Be discerning. We'll have high standards, and we're going to do this. That really is how good can it get. That's a battle cry. That's not some, whooshy, loosey goosey saying. Not at all. That's extremely demanding. How good can it get?
yeah,
You know, it's
I like that.
it's a, oh yeah, yeah.
How good can I get? And I want to make a correction. I think I said circa 2025 instead of circa 2500. So I want to make that correction there on your
Yeah,
timeline.
right.
Yeah.
And it's just
But
one possible future. Yeah,
yeah. And that's what I like. It is a possibility.
right.
And like for those people who have dove into consciousness, I'm forgetting his name right now, but he wrote a book and was able to dive into all of his timelines and interact with all the timelines and all the possibilities and bring things from those
Hmm.
timelines into his current lifetime. So, yeah, possibilities. And I think they're all possibilities. Like,
Yes.
I'm sure there's many decisions that are happening right now in other timelines, in other me's. Oh gosh,
Yes.
but I can't. It's 333 for me. We're
Oh,
already
me too.
like 30 minutes. I can't believe it. I feel like we time warped. And this whole time, like I've had to like stay focused because I can feel around me as it like settles in all of the different dimensions, I'm gonna say. It's I have this with clients sometimes too when they're tuned in. That'll all open up. That space has been open around us like off and on through our whole conversation. It's been amazing, Cynthia. It's been amazing to have you on the show and to talk to you. And I usually ask one final question, and I didn't in the full episode. What is a jewel of wisdom that you would like to leave our audience with today?
Ah, you are much more loved and safe than you can even imagine. And if you think, if you lean into that, like how safe and how loved am I? It's even more than you can ever imagine. And I wish that for everyone to know.
Oh, I love that. That's a perfect way to stop because there's a lot of people who are feeling uncertainty and going into fear. And if they just remember that and just come back to that, even if they have to sit and close their eyes and just radiate that heart energy to feel that. Thank you. That was perfect. Cynthia, such a pleasure to host you. Thank you so much for being on the show and for sticking around for the after chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. Love you so much.
Love you too. And thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for joining us during this after chat, and I'll see you again soon. Bye now.